Hello, everybody, and welcome to True Crime with the Sarge. I'm your host, Joseph Giacalone. I'm excited today. You can see I'm still laughing because I was talking to Sunny off stage, and we're actually having a blast. So, Sunny's here. I'm going to bring her on in a second. Just want to go through a couple things quick. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., I have my second edition of Roll Call. I have Lisa Ribicoff and Detective Mike Alcazar, retired NYPD detective. We're going to be talking about the cases that you're talking about. So that's 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. So that's going to be fun. The first show did so well, I figured we're going to do it again until people stop showing up. So that's what we're going to do. So without any further ado, we're going to bring in our guest of honor. Our guest of honor is Sunny. We're going to call this episode Sunny and the Sarge.
Hey,
so there you
Sarge, how you doing? I'll be ready for roll call in the morning.
go. Oh, my God. Yeah, you're going to be getting up early?
Yes. So everybody should be ready for roll call on tomorrow. And we know at roll call, we're going to get our duties and job descriptions. So we can roll out and for the day. So everybody tune in tomorrow. I'll see you at roll call.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be good. Like I said, we got some good topics. We got some great topics tonight. I was telling everybody, Sonny, I said, I came on, I was laughing when I first came on. I said, I was talking to Sonny for the last 20 minutes and I'm laughing. So, we were having a good old time back there. So it's good to see you again. We keep on missing each other on Court TV.
I know. I have my tea and tissue, so I sound a little stuff.
Uh-oh.
Hey, y'all. I know. Isn't that crazy? All right, we're going to have to ask them for us to be on together, as we said, okay?
Yes.
For the Sunny and Sarge segment, okay, with Julie. All right?
Yes, with Julie. We're going to have to call Sunny and the Sarge. That would be great if she could do that. So JD just became a member. Thank you very much, JD. I really appreciate
that. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, so you've been doing the A block, and I've been doing the B block, so we've been kind of missing each other on that. But there's lots of stuff to talk about. There's some crazy stuff in the news. We're going to go through all that tonight. But just before we get started, just introduce yourself to everybody who might not know you, which is probably in this room apparently nobody. But just in case the replay crew might not know who Sonny Slaughter is, tell us about Sonny Slaughter.
So I am first, Sarge. Let me say thank you for having me on your show. This is really an honor and to be with you. Thank you for how you have been showing up and really providing law enforcement a lens and language that is really necessary. So I'm Sonny Slaughter. For those that don't know, I'm an honorary Grizzly because I see some of our Grizzly folks in here. I am a federal law enforcement instructor, formerly with the Department of Homeland Security, a consultant, a subject matter expert. I'm also a law enforcement instructor with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, and I am a litigation expert. So I do law enforcement work, litigation work. I teach, I speak, I do other things, but I have a specialty in crimes against persons, domestic and sexual violence crimes, human trafficking crimes, anything that involves persons. I'm also one of the few non-sworn drug task force supervisors from Homeland Security, hate and bias crimes, anything, almost and everything. Sarge, you know what it is when you are getting in the profession. I am one of the supporters of those persons like you behind the badge, and I say behind the wall. So we complement in the profession, and I support everything those that carry the badge do, and sometimes show up and do some of the investigative processes. But it is always a blessing and a journey to be with my fellow comrades, I say, in law enforcement, making the country and the world a better place.
Yep, and we're going to get into that in a second, but Viv just put in there, she says, loves your new hairdo, and I try to tell people we get our hair done at the same place.
Yes. So, I made the recommendation for Sarge to get his hair done. Oh, and let me tell y'all, so y'all can follow, I have a consulting company, Sunny Slaughter Consulting, but yes, if y'all, what, y'all like this hair, people been liking this hairdo, so do y'all like Sarge's hairdo? He is the kind of, I had this thing for Telly Savalas growing up. So
there you go.
True crime person from way back in the day.
Yeah, who loves you, baby? Right.
Who loves you, baby? So Sarge
who loves you, baby?
The whole Telly Savalas kind of looking. And then what was the black chick? Angie, somebody, she played the black detective. That's just me, okay? So then you call me the Olivia Pope of crime. And
Very good. Yeah, we're probably the same around age. We talk about the same shows, so we're
yes,
probably right up there. And so you were
yeah.
just recently, instructing at the IACP, right? The International Association of Chiefs of Police, right? IACP. What were you doing? What was your talk about?
So I was, yes, thank you for talking about that. I was at the IACP conference, and specifically the Officer Safety and Wellness Conference. I was there to talk about, I'm the law enforcement instructor for the Epilepsy Foundation of America. And we have rolled out a new training, and my job is to engage law enforcement to ask them to become instructors of this particular program in their departments. A lot of times people don't recognize how prevalent epilepsy and seizures are. But I do want to say really quick, I had the privilege of meeting Agent Ferris. In 2019, there was a mass shooting of a guy who went on a rampage in Denver, Colorado. And Agent Ferris was the officer that actually took him down solo. And she talked about her story there. It was so powerful, Sarge. I was like, wow, the room of law enforcement, it was standing room only. It was packed. And she did take him down, but she did get shot too. And she hit her head, and she has a traumatic brain injury. So she's not on the force, but she's still doing training. So talking to her directly, I had a conversation with her about epilepsy and seizures, because I want to make sure that she has services and support, because that is one of the things that can happen with a traumatic brain injury, is you can have seizures. So it was a great conference. Yeah.
Yeah, and Jay, as you know Jay well too, it's
I
always sunny in Joadelphia. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that very much. So you were actually posting pictures of gun locks and stuff like that you guys were giving out,
Yeah.
for gun safety, whatever. So tell us about that too, because that's going to be our segue into some of these stories tonight.
So it wasn't my table. We weren't giving out the gun locks. However, we were there next to the Veterans Administration table. And I don't know if people know this. So the Veterans Administration actually has a service where they will send people gun locks. And I don't know how many people knew that, but I have actually done some of the very first training in Alabama at the Veterans Administration on human trafficking. And the gun locks were very important. I got several for my daughter is still in Alabama. I got several for her because she has multiple guns, and a couple for my sons and everything. It's really important. And Joe, you and I know you're gonna segue into this, but it's really important to practice safety and to be aware of what you can have to protect yourself and others when it comes to gun usage. I'm not telling people to get rid of their guns. I am telling them, if you have them, you need to be responsible.
Yes, and then instead it's gonna segue us into a lot of things, but as a gun owner myself, you kind of you watching what's happening going on there, especially if you have kids or kids that have some needs. You have to make sure that these guns are unattainable for them, and it's just something that we're watching now playing out live in courtroom, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah, and it's not, people, when you think about gun safety and security, people want to have access to guns, but then if they don't want to be responsible, then they don't need to have access to guns. I cover the critical incidents and mass shootings for Scripps News, and last year there were more than 578. And that's a lot. I was on Scripps News. I was covering cases so regularly. It is too much. It is too many. And young people, as you know, both of you and I are both covering the same cases. And the one case that you're going to introduce for us to talk about is horrible, because you cannot, if you knowingly have a child that has issues and you don't secure your guns, and the gun locks that I showed are not even sufficient. I say you need a gun safe, You need bioprint, fingerprint. You need the gamut if you are going to have guns in your house. You really. My daughter is young. It is not a matter of age, but maturity. She is young, but she went to firearm school. She has, even though she is in a state that doesn't require a license, she is fully licensed. She knows every state she can carry her guns in, and she
Yeah,
has.
and training. You have to do. You got to do
And
the
she
training.
does
You
a
know.
lot of training. She goes to the range. Well, we have a whole family of law enforcement, so she is going to the gun range with her uncles and aunts for practice. It's really important.
Yes, it is. So we're going to get into the James Crumbly case because this one is captivating everybody. Because if you are a parent, we've already seen the wife get convicted of something that her son did, right, for involuntary manslaughter, 4 counts. He's up for 4 counts too, which each one could carry, I think, up to 15 years. So we don't know. His wife hasn't been sentenced yet, so we don't know if we're doing this concurrently or consecutively. But I mean, you could be looking at 60 years for this, which
Yeah.
means he's never getting out of prison. So this is some serious stuff that's going on. Well, were you surprised that his wife got convicted in this whole thing? Were you like kind of taken back by that?
No. And I was not, because this is the first case of its kind. And I'm a parent. I understand, we've kind of talked about this. I understand people were very torn about, whether parents could be subjected to things like this. However, based on what we saw in the evidence and facts, when you take out the emotion and just focus on the evidence and facts, the text messages, his behavior, showing up at the school, things that they had ignored, the condition of the home. And you just talked about something tonight.
Yeah.
I'm so blown away because I did not hear that in her case. Did they do that in her case? Did they talk about those text messages?
No.
Because I didn't.
No, not all of them.
Okay, because
Yeah, not all of them. So we're gonna read them out because for those
Yeah.
that didn't hear about this in trial today, this came out. I just want to take a quick second and thank Hope Eight Fear just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Hope. She's been a great supporter.
Hope Eight Fear. Woo, that's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, I mean this. So I'm going to read these things in case you guys haven't heard this, right? So I'm going to read this. I got this today. It happened on in the trial today. Now this is Ethan Crumbly, the son. They read this out and it says, here are the exact quotes. Now I'm going to read these quote line for line. I have zero help for my mental problems, and it's causing me to shoot up and then they had blacked out the expletive and then school. Right, so this kid had this thing going on. I wanna help, but my parents don't listen to me, so I can't get help. All I need is my 9mm pistol, which I'm currently begging my dad for. I will have to find where my dad hid my 9mm before I can shoot up the school. I'm about to shoot up the school and spend the rest of my life in prison. First off, I got my gun. It's a SP 2022 Sig Sauer 9mm. Second, the shooting is tomorrow. And here's the real kicker, right? I have access to the gun and the ammo. I am fully committed to this now. So yeah, I'm going to prison for my life, and many people have about 1 day left to live. Right? So this is this teenager talking about this, and his dad and his mom not helping him. You just don't know what to say, right? So I mean, how does the defense handle this? I mean, how do you handle it? I don't know.
In my litigation cases, I actually work prosecution and defense. I actually work a lot of defense cases. And I know people might find that disturbing, but in our criminal justice system, everybody deserves justice, including those who are accused. The only thing that I would be able to explain for the father is that they were so tuned out. The mother was having an affair, the father was working, but other than that, I cannot, like, if I was the expert for them, I don't have a plausible enough explanation to explain how they missed all of the signs going on with this particular kid. He was clearly, in some form or fashion screaming out for us things. And a lot of times when you have children and their rooms are messy, you tend to ignore that. It depends on the rest of the condition of the house. But sometimes messiness and the extent of it is also a sign of health. That is what some clinical professionals have said, that the type of mess, hoarders, there is something else there that needs to be addressed. And I just can't imagine what it was like living with his parents. Like, it doesn't seem like they talked very much. They had this gun thing in common, but what else were they doing? Parenting is hard. I have 4 children, 4 different personalities. Everybody's doing something. And I have a young son that I have had to wrangle in. I have had to go back and forth with doctors and mental health. I called everybody and anybody that there is to be called. And he has still had his issues, but he is an adult now and he has to suffer whatever consequences come his way. So I don't know if the defense, based on what the attorney is doing now, Joe, I don't see a safe defense, because she said, well, if the gun doesn't have ammo, it's not a weapon, is it? And I was like, I actually posted, I said, is she crazy? You do know, like, a gun can still be used technically as a weapon.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
Beat the hell out of somebody with a gun. And I was like, the way she asked her questions, and the ATF guy, he was on point. He was a real expert.
Just wanted to get a quick thing. Amanda, thank you very much for your donation. I really appreciate that. And Peter Pranzo. Sonny, my little sis.
Hey, my brother. Okay, y'all don't know. So Peter is my big brother. Hey, bro. I love it. Hey, sis. How y'all doing? Do you know Peter?
Oh, yeah, I know Pete. I had Pete on my show. Pete and Rochelle, yeah, great people.
God. That's right. Okay, y'all got to buy his book, too. Y'all got to buy both of their books. Oh, my God. That's my big brother. Hey,
it was actually, Say No to Globalism. I lost it. She actually made a good comment in there. She said that she thinks that the fact that the father hid the gun might actually help him in this case, meaning that he knew something was wrong with his kid. He's hiding it. I missed that one, though, but Say No to Globalism. Thank you. That was a great comment.
Oh, yeah, I think that really well. Okay, so if he knew something and he was hiding it, then why didn't he remove the gun from the house altogether?
Yeah, I guess that would be a fair enough follow-up on that. But, yeah, no, so I think James has got some problems in regards to what happens next, right? So first of all, you had the wife getting convicted. It doesn't help. And they really didn't get into his wife's case about them like fleeing and trying to hide. I mean, a lot of people have either forgotten about that or don't either, that they were fleeing, that they got caught in Detroit, right? In a museum or something, if I remember correctly.
Leaving the kid. They literally were like, well, he get ready to go to jail and they left him.
Yeah.
But did you know what he did in court? He did the total opposite. This is the kind of parents that they were. They left him. But what did he do in court? When the judge asked, did your parents know? He did what I think he's always done. He protected them in a way they didn't protect him. He said they didn't know. And they should have known. He stood up for them. He stood up for them, and they did not stand up for him. I do believe, Sarge, and I know you agree, he going down. Thanks, Amanda. Love you too, boo.
Yep. Amanda, love you too. And Pete put out there, everyone loves Sandy.
I love it. Well, he kind of, my brother is kind of biased and a little partial to me. Yeah. Oh,
yep. Ethan wrote, Dad hit it. Yeah, no, she's got a point, because like I said, this all the other stuff that's going up against them, though, this might be just a little bit of a hope, let's put it that way, or a Hail Mary, we would call that.
So if Dad hit it, then when they were talking about mom was the last person with the gun, that's what they're trying to connect that with, right?
Yeah,
Because they said,
probably.
okay, I don't know.
It's gonna be, well. Listen, as far as everyone's concerned, they're gonna say, "Where did you hide it?" Right? Hiding it and like under your bed or in a closet or in a box or shoebox. That's not securing it, right? I mean, we have gun chests and everything else. You can install these things and buy them, gun locks on it. Try to make it so. I mean, boy, oh boy, it's something that you got to say to yourself, was this a message, do you think, sent to parents everywhere about these school shootings?
I think so. I think that I think I posted about this. We keep to always talk about hindsight is 2020, and I think we've had enough hindsight with all the mass shootings that we've had at schools that have been committed by young people. We already have the hindsight. We have the 2020, and we're just not doing what we could do. I also think that the school could have done more. I know that counselors and they got a lot going on in schools, and that is absolutely true. But I do think they could have pressed harder and maybe told them take him now, and I know kids draw bad things, but that's the hindsight. We know this. So if somebody's drawing things now, if they're drawing things after this, then we should say, no. Hey, Sherry, we need to not do it.
Yeah, the school official said today that he was shocked that after they basically confronted the parents with this stuff with the drawings, that they didn't remove him right then and there. They said that was unusual, because usually when they have these issues, and which brings me to another question, but he says we usually have these issues, the parents take them out right away. And the first thing that popped into my head is, how often does this happen that the guy said that this is unusual? Good grief.
Well, in inner city schools, you got to have clear backpacks, metal detectors. And so I'm also, I do a lot of different things. I am also the external compliance officer for a reentry program. Yeah, I do that too for an organization based in Alabama. So, we've got a lot of young people who have been incarcerated, who has had weapons and things like that. And several years ago, I had a metal detector installed, because now we have this high probability of gangs. We now have security. We already had a written policy, but written policies don't help unless you have other things in place. And the prevalence of guns is, I just don't know, but in inner city schools, clear backpacks, so you can see everything in there. They check metal. I just went to a school here in DC, a really nice school, multicultural school. It's called Bell Multicultural. Yeah, we were walking through metal detectors and everything, and I was looking around to check. And I was like, okay, somebody had a food bag, and and the security said, you got to put the bag through. And they said it's food. He said, once again, you got to put the bag through.
Yep, no exceptions.
Anything get through.
Yep, no exceptions. But even then, I believe that the school official actually picked up the bag and said it was heavy. And he handed it to the family. The gun was in the bag.
In the bag. So why didn't somebody?
Well, he said he didn't have probable cause to open it, but schools have weird rules that they can basically do searches for just about nothing.
Yeah, that's not a probable cause. Is not the same. What was he working on the street? You don't need probable cause in a school, because the school district, even if the school itself doesn't have a policy, there is a no gun policy for school districts. I'm sure they get some type of federal funding. So that is applying. You can't even go into the school with your gun unless you are wearing uniforms, or you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and even then, he might not use the word probable cause, but he just says basically, he might not have cause to look into it. But I'm like, you don't have cause. This kid's drawing pictures about shooting things up, and you feel his backpack is heavy. I mean, this could have ended right then and there.
Yeah.
And these 4 kids would still be alive today. I know it's a big what if, but missed opportunities.
But I think the what ifs make us say, what is your school policy? Like, what are you all doing? Because the counselor, he said, well, I saw him in the hallway, and I'm like, really? Is that the touch face that you did, like in the hallway when other kids walking, saying, "Oh, are you okay?" Well, what are kids gonna say? Well, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine. It's like being mad at your wife, and what she say, Joe? What did she say to you? I'm
Fine.
fine, honey. Look, I'm fine, and the way she says I'm fine is whether
Yeah.
she's really fine, right?
Yeah. No, as a husband, you never want to hear that. I'm
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. You're like, huh? Okay, what happened? What happened? Right? When they say I'm fine, I've been a wife. If they say I'm fine, no, what happened, honey? What's wrong? What did I do? What do we need to do? Ask more questions, and I think that's what needs to happen.
Well, I
And
don't think it. Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I don't think the everybody rested today, but I know the prosecution's done. I don't know if the defense rested today or not, but it's the deliberation is going to be happening either not if not tomorrow by Thursday. This thing is going to a jury.
Yeah.
It was a quick one.
Well, we'll see what happens.
So many missed opportunities, but you know what? There's going to be an appeal, right? Everybody's going to appeal this. The wife's going to appeal it, and if he gets convicted, he'll appeal it too, of course, because we're in a new territory here. But the issue that comes down to is either way, it's a wake up call for a lot of parents out there.
So, speaking of gun violence, I went to the U.S. Senate to have a conversation with one of the senators. Senator Tim Kaine. Now, he happens to be Democrat. However, I will meet and him up in the hallway, anybody. I don't care whether they got a D or R and I or no, to talk about gun violence, gun issues, and to have this conversation. But Senator Kaine invited me to his office to talk about, because I said, we were somewhere out together, and I said to him, what I need elected officials to do is to not conflate gun violence every time with mental health, because everyone that has a mental health problem is not going to shoot someone. So in the cases that do, I just don't think elected officials should do it, because they are not read in on all of the information. In fact, the audience that is following and we're talking to today has more information that our elected officials have. So I always think that we need to be careful. Because this case made precedence, you are right, it is going to be appealed. And this case is going to unfold for a very long time across states and maybe make it up to the Supreme Court.
Oh, I think it's definitely headed there. I mean, that's just basically where it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's headed there because you know what? We know we need to do something, but our politicians have failed us. And like you said, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, animal, vegetable, mineral, whatever you're talking about up there, you do something, right? Do something other than make this a partisan issue every time something happens. Where it's just, after a while, you just kind of say to yourself, I give up. I just give up because people aren't getting anything done.
I decided to go full force and visit folks and I work, and they said, well, I'm on this side of the aisle. I'm down the middle because I'm with the people, and I'm just take folks down the middle. I don't care when it comes to the issues. I will work with, discuss, meet with anyone, because I don't think that they hear. I'm like, look, this is not politics. I'm talking about people. You and I and others, we're covering this. Your entire audience here who are educated, who are following the cases. We don't want to talk about politics. We want to talk about what y'all going to do.
Exactly. We're tired of hearing about the thoughts and prayers, and just get something done and figure out and figure it out. And it's not always draconian on either side. There is a medium that can be done.
Yeah.
Like I've been saying, we have all this money that we tax everybody for the schools, but I have yet to see that get invested in school security, meaning the front doors and the glass and all these, where a number of these incidents have happened where they went right through the front door. I mean,
like yesterday, they're just walking through. Hey, how you doing, students? Yeah. And we don't have enough mental health services. People want to talk about mental health, but they are not investing in the health and the well-being of our, not even in our soldiers. Not, I mean, it's just a lot going on. And young people they're not like we are, like we were. Honestly,
Well,
they can't handle the stuff that we don't handle. I mean, hell,
things have
I used to go
changed.
to school in the snowstorms. Now when it's like sprinkled, everybody close it up, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
That was child abuse. We were going to school.
Yeah, when I was a kid in the 70s, short of an alien invasion, you were going to school. I mean, it's as simple as that. But it was just, one of those things. But, unfortunately, you kind of have to put a little bit of a little humor into this because the situation's so dire that after a point, it becomes a mental health issue for everybody watching or listening or talking about this, because it's affecting so many people. And it's just unfortunate that nothing ever seems to get done on it.
Yeah. And you are right. I worry sometimes even about us, and I say that to the, to the crews, to the newscasters, the hosts, the journalists. I said, be sure to take care of yourself. Sometimes I don't think people realize that how this impacts us, covering it, knowing the details. We study before we go on the air, how they send us our briefings, and we're watching it on TV all day long so we can keep up with. It's a lot. And then our friends that we have watching us, it's a lot to cover. Crime in these cases, and then those that involve children. If aliens invade, stop, send me.
I actually hope that they're smarter than us, right? So, I mean, since we're talking on this topic and court cases revolving around guns, right? So we just had, we were going through the Rush trial. We're going into part 2, but let's just talk quickly about part 1. Hannah Gutierrez Reed getting convicted on that. I think that was kind of a no-brainer. I had actually gone out and on the limb and said that she was gonna get convicted on that just because of the fact that it was so negligent that it is what it is.
Why we had a trial. I was like, okay, it was over.
They didn't have to be. They offered them the plea ahead of time, just like the other guy, Halls, gets. I mean, he got off scot-free. I don't think she's going to do any time. I don't think she's going to do any time.
No, well, it would be 18 months, but I don't think that. No, I think they'll probably
time served,
probation or something like that.
I think they'll say time served and the probation for the rest of it. Because I don't think did she make bail? Did they even give her bail? I don't even know. I haven't followed that up.
I didn't follow up with that, but she was guilty no matter what else happened. I'm not sure what other people were looking for, but for what she was charged with, she was gross negligence. She should never, ever work on any set again because she does not know what she's doing. Thank you, Barbara Jean, for the bracelet lady. You got to tell me what kind of bracelets you got. So, there was gross negligence on her part. I don't care what anybody, and they put her in custody. Oh, no bail. Okay. Thanks, Shannon. But now, so what do you think about, I think that, and this is just me, that Alec Baldwin has some culpability because he was the producer of the show, and his culpability might not necessarily be criminal, but they levied that hefty fine against them from OSHA.
Yep.
So
and it's negligence. So the whole mens rea, that whole guilty mind has nothing to do with it because it's about negligence. It's about
so
being aware of the risk and disregarding it. That's how reckless is defined in the law.
Yeah. And so I think he is culpable too.
Well, and unfortunately for him, his reputation precedes him that sometimes he's not a very nice person. And I think I think the prosecutor is going to bring that out. There's plenty of evidence of that, including things with his daughter and everything else that went on. But
and that attitude and how he ignores stuff, how he talks to people on the set.
Well, and we kind of heard that about in the read where he basically wouldn't be for the security debriefings, right? He wouldn't be there for the training. He just blew it all off. that's going to come back and haunt him. And doing those interviews, like the one with George Stephanopoulos, was probably not the greatest idea. I don't know why his lawyer would have let him do that in the first place.
Because he
why roll
probably
the?
thought he was the boss and he know what he could say and he shouldn't say. He don't listen.
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem, right? So he's smarter than everybody else in this and that, and I think that's where the prosecutor is going to come out on this. I don't know at the end of the day did they get him for the involuntary manslaughter bit, but
what else? What was the other charge? Involuntary manslaughter and what?
Well,
was it just a negligent charge?
They did I know Hannah Reed, they did the tampering with evidence, which they found her not guilty of. And for him, I think it's just the involuntary manslaughter. I don't think he gets convicted
for that. I don't think he gets convicted criminally for that. I think he's going to face a lot of civil liability.
Oh God, yeah. Somebody had put that in there. He's going to get his pantsuit off. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So he's definitely negligent. The liability. He already got hood. He's already got hit with the OSHA, so they're going to use that in the civil thing because he's going to have to pay.
Yeah, well, that would have happened either way, right? So if he gets convicted or not, he's going to have that civil lawsuit. They're going to be lining up for him on that one. But we'll have to wait and see.
Won't have a bad attitude next time.
I think we'll have a better indication once this trial starts and see how the prosecutor comes at him in the first day or goes at the trial. The question, I'll throw this one out there. Do you think he takes the stand in his own defense? All right, that's a good one. I think he does. He does.
You know what? I think that he wants to explain his side of it.
And he's already done it. So he's figured that, what does he have to lose? Because they're going to bring in those interviews anyway.
That was beautiful. Thank you. Who said that? Oh, thank you. Y'all like my hair? Oh, you said I look gorgeous? Okay, listen. Y'all know I be trying to look. Because I be trying to pick up one or two people.
Teresa doesn't agree with me, but that's fine, right? She said he's not taking.
Okay, Teresa, we're gonna have to talk about this we'll see what happens. Stay tuned, Teresa.
I love dissenting opinions because that's what makes everything grow. But as long as we have adult conversations, I'm up for anybody's point of view on something, right? I mean, not everything we're gonna agree on everything. It's just that's the way it goes. But we're adults; we can talk about it.
I'm talking about got her butter whipped. Okay.
Sonny is always blinging.
Now y'all know I got sinuses. Y'all can't have me choking.
Yeah, we hope you feel better. So for those of you that just joining us, we just jumped up to over 111 people. We're talking with Sonny Slaughter. We're doing Sonny and the Sarge first show. We're just going through some of the big cases that are happening out there. We just finished up with the Alec Baldwin mess. Let's jump into some other craziness that's happening right now. We have, did you see this? Richard Allen now, his case is getting brought up to May 13th. Yeah. Now, I did a short on this today because the one thing that jumped off the page with me is they only given him 2 weeks for this trial. I can't imagine getting that trial done in 2 weeks.
I can't either. Only 2 weeks, really?
May 13th through the 31st.
Well,
so I think that's going to be extended for sure. Yeah,
because I was wondering if law enforcement was ready. Hey, Janet. Do you think, because it was supposed to be October, do you think that they have the evidence? Because I'm not sure.
Listen, this case has been an absolute horror show since they made this arrest, right? So all the different craziness that's going on, we're not even going to get into all of that nonsense.
Right.
But, the issue that comes down to is, I think this is a good move by the defense, forcing them to finally come to the table earlier because it only perpetuates this thing even longer in there, and things get even crazier. And I think the defense feels like they have a little bit of a stronger case. And the other ironic part too is the defense made sure they said it was a jury trial and not a judge or bench trial, right? Because Judge Gull has not been very friendly with them. So I thought that was a good move on their part too.
They don't want Judge Gull, but I bet you she was mad because she had to change her calendar because she
probably
liked them, and then they put this.
You know,
Daddy said Delphi is a very hot mess.
yeah, it is hot mess for sure.
Woohoo!
You know Bob Motta in Defense Diaries?
You know that's my other man right there.
All right, good.
Where he at? Is he on here?
No, he's not on here, but he's been on top of this whole Delphi thing.
Bob has been running Delphi the whole gamut the whole way.
He's really got a handle on it. And if anybody wants to see any more about, especially the law part of this, you got to go to Defense Diaries. After our show, of course, you head over to Defense Diaries and check out what Bob does over there, because he's he made me like defense attorneys.
Yeah. Yes, he is on everything. You know, Bob's got a Jersey girl for a wife. Love me some Bob. Yes.
All Delphi. Yes, Bob is all Delphi. I said he's the only reason why I only like one defense attorney I've ever met, and that's Bob.
Oh my God! And you know, Bob has been gone. I think he's gone in person too to some of the trial.
Yeah, he was actually, and I was there in Delphi when I had done a talk at Purdue University. So I went up to Delphi. I was in Carroll County. I did a couple of videos. I went to the house. I went to everything. I did all that stuff.
Y'all don't take me nowhere. Y'all see this? They don't take me nowhere. They always say I can't come.
Next time.
Okay.
So talking about other not political messes, other trial messes coming up. So Brian Koberger's team is pushing to have the murder indictments now thrown out, right? Saying that this is all done badly, and they need to have this case thrown out. Sleuths Investigate. Thank you very much, Sonny. You're making the Sarge blush. We love you, Sonny and Sarge. With Delphi, I'm feeling the state doesn't have enough. They're saying that, Sleuth.
Yeah. Hey, Sleuths Investigate. I'm with you on that one, baby. Yes.
And I said that's why I think it's a good move by the defense to actually got this done. And I think the judge has denied just about everything. I guess at this point they had to give him something.
Well, the judge didn't have any choice. It is a part of it's a part of the law that if they request it, she can't deny it.
There you go.
It's an automatic that they got to do it. But the Kohlberger case, it was the very first case that I did on Law and Crime Network. My first appearance was the breaking news when the indictment came down, and I was scrambling. I had 5 minutes before showtime, and my printer wouldn't work to print it out because I need hard copy so I can look through it. So that was my first case. It was very traumatic, one to come on so hot, and then the case and everything around it. Yeah, I'm worried about. There's a lot going on with the Kohlberger case, and I get concerned that are we really, really ready on this case?
Yeah, well, I've been outspoken about this in a couple of news agencies I did interviews with, and said about how I was really worried about how the crime scene was handled, and I think that's going to become a
you were too
big problem.
That was what I said. I did not see any control there. Hope ain't fear, baby. You dropping them numbers.
Hope, this is this number 6 from Hope tonight. Thank you very much, Hope. But the crime scene, the way it was handled, about the gatekeepers, about not, do we have a list of who entered that property, when and where? And I saw a lot of people coming in.
I did, and I did not see them going through any kind of process live or whatever on who was going in, what they were recovering, whether they were covered, prepared, dressed to not contaminate the scene. Yeah, I had a lot of concerns.
And how about giving stuff back to the families in the midst of processing the crime scene?
I know. Was that not crazy?
I've never seen that
before.
I've never seen it before. And then when they closed it down, then they brought the cleaning crew in. And then they had to throw the cleaning crew out after a day. I mean, after a while, you kind of describe, and then they destroy the whole thing on top of it.
So I was like, "Oh, this is yes." I am really concerned.
Very concerned.
Really, and how they were tracking him, but weren't tracking him from one state to the other. And I was
Chief
like,
driving the U-Haul. What the heck? Yeah, I mean, there's
yeah,
so much craziness that was going on, and the fact that they had a contained crime scene where nobody else needed to have access to it. It's not like other people lived there or needed to access. Like it was part of a 30 apartment building, 30 apartments in it, and you had to let people in. It was contained. There was no reason to rush anything. Go through it methodically. Get your warrants. Go do your thing, and then take as long as you need. But
yeah, because
I think.
I was telling somebody, I said, if I was the law enforcement expert on this case, I would blow it out the water, because that is part of what I do on the other side. I'm looking at all the steps. Did law enforcement do this? Do they have the list? I remember a defense attorney hired me on, and he said, it took you this long to look at the search warrant? I said it did. And he said, well, it only took me a few minutes, like 30 minutes, because I charged, because I charge a lot. And I said, well, let me ask you something. Did you notice what time the judge signed it? And he said, yeah. I said, okay, so when you looked at it, did you just look at it, or did you actually do what I did? Look at the other documents I sent you. I said, I actually went all the way back to the year that this happened, and I went back and pulled the traffic stuff, the weather, and I said, so did they have to have the search warrant in hand, or could they call on the phone and say, we got the search warrant, and then they could start doing it en route? I didn't know. I said, that's why you pay me the money, because those are the things that you should know and that you should ask.
Yes, and actually, when I've written that in my book about knowing the weather, and I tell the story of Abraham Lincoln about how he won his first case based on the weather. And because there was an eyewitness that said that he saw this guy like 30 or 40 feet from his shooting, find out that it was a new moon night, so no moon. How could you have seen anything about that? So it was actually kind of an interesting story.
Oh, you wrong. See, and I was like, you didn't do what. And see, I've lived in that city before, so I know how traffic patterns are. I looked at the time and I said, let me run it, let me pull everything. I even had it where they had construction going on. I was timing everything, and I said, Now, the person still went to jail, but I said, these are the questions that you can ask.
Yeah, well, not every case is going to be, pending on some of that stuff, but the issue that comes down to is things such as the time they arrived, who were you with, what the weather conditions were like, because we know it's all snowy, right? And I'm still perplexed that you had all of this, lack of a better word, slaughter go on in the place, and then leave and not find trails of blood outside in the snow.
Snow steps.
Not finding anything in the car. I mean,
that's what there should.
I'm worried.
Everything that happened, no snow, no footsteps, no footprints, no blood, no track. The footprints alone from the snow should have tracked back where the person was.
Well, you would think, right? People say, well, he could have been wearing, things, he took them off, whatever, this and that. But even how the crime scene was handled, there was so many, the place was trampled outside. You couldn't tell who was where, what was going on. And it was just, it's just unfortunate. But, if all we have is the DNA on the sheath, I'm very concerned. There better be more, because if not, I have a bad feeling about that.
Well, case. Look what's happening right now with Scott Peterson.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Well, this is so we'll see. That wasn't on our docket, but let's talk about it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's in the news, right? It's the LA Innocence Project, first of all, so everyone has to know that this isn't the Innocence Project. This is the LA Innocence Project. It's an offshoot, or it's a copycat. And the Innocence Project was publicly saying this ain't us, right? So that to me is something else to kind of like look up with a raised eyebrow kind of thing. But I still think they got the right guy. I still think they got the right guy.
I think they do too. But so I watched some of that today, and I said, oh, they want to check the DNA, because it was all a circumstantial case. And remember, they've never Well, what they found Lacey, and Connor.
Yeah, well, his alibi puts him like 50 feet from the crime scene. I mean, I was golfing. I'm at the boat. I mean, he really kind of.
Yeah. And I've got the book, so I've got the Lacey Peterson book, and I was like, oh, but it does make for news.
And his girlfriend Amber Fry didn't help his case either.
So, no, those girlfriends on the side, gotta watch those.
Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Woo! Yeah.
But, I don't even know why we're even talking about, not us right now, but I mean, this is even brought up. I think that Scott Peterson is the only guy that could have been responsible for his wife and his son. But the cement anchors that they found, the boat that no one knew about that was at his place of business. I mean, it's just, come on. Yeah, they want to blame it on a homeless guy in a van. I think that's what the Innocence Project is saying, that they found a burnt out van, and they want to, they keep on, I think, going with this burglary that happened. It didn't happen the same day. People keep on forgetting that. They think that, because remember they said that she interrupted a burglary or whatever from across the street. That didn't happen the same day. It happened like 2 weeks or something before.
And she didn't leave the house because the phone records put her in the house making phone calls.
Right. So I'm not buying that either. And oh wow, Heather, thank you very much. Just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you very much, Heather.
Heather, wow. Look at
I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. And there's so we got a lot of new members tonight. There's lots of members perks out there, including I have a new segment called Where's the Crime Scene? The first one's already out. The second one will come out on April 1st. April Fool's Day, you're going to get a new one.
Oh, gosh. I love this for you. I love this for you and for the audience. You all are the best.
Yes, very good. So, yes, all right. So we have... well, listen, did you catch this latest info about the Madeline Soto thing? Did you catch this thing?
Is it that
the girl in Florida?
For sexual abuse material on the phone?
They added 60 charges to him.
60?
Yeah, 60 charges. So for those of you that might not be following in, and I just threw this one out there, Sonny, so this one wasn't on the docket. But yeah, they hit him with 60 additional felonies today. And they were doing it in groups of 10, which were images, if I remember correctly. They said, images of a child under 11.
Oh, okay.
This thing, from what I'm gathering now, I don't know, so this is just my guess. It looks as if, they were originally saying that this abuse could have been going on for 2 years. The way I'm calculating all of those things, it's 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
The way I'm looking at the charges and the ages in the groups, but I'm looking at least 600 to 700 images that they're charging him with. That's so they did it in groups of 10. So they would say 10 images of a child under 11.
Right.
So I mean,
is it only her, or did they say other victims?
Well, they redacted the victim's name, right? So we're because of the laws, the rape shield laws. So we don't know if this is Madeline or not. I mean, it could be somebody else too, right? We don't know for sure. But
so that would be even. She might not be his only victim, and that means that would. Huh.
Well, I'm surprised they didn't reach out and say publicly.
Yeah.
If you've ever had a relationship with this man and you have young kids, please come forward.
I was wondering that too. Why? I figured maybe I missed it or something, but I was wondering why they haven't done that, because so I tend to work a lot of cases like that as the expert behind the scenes, and those cases are really, really horrific, and it is a lot you got to have a real stomach to.
Yeah, that's why you have these investigators, when they do them, they have special units within it, like we had in the city. But you have people that go through testing to go make sure that you can handle this.
Yep, and then you can only do so much before. Because now I've done training at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and I'm a child forensic interviewer, so you can only do so much, and then you have to get therapy and counseling and. All of people, those cases are the worst of the worst of the worst. And when I'm working if I always tell them, if I don't have to see all of the images or listen to the tapes, that I prefer not to. Uh,
Yeah, I hear
because
you.
you know, I can see enough to realize whether we're gonna have a good case or whether we're not gonna have a good case. And I have literally told people, based on just what you sent me, okay, so your client is going to go to jail
Forever.
and forever, and this is what is going to happen. And folks say, why do you work on the defense side too? Because sometimes folks need to know the truth, that if they have a good expert, and a good expert can tell them this is not a case that you should take to trial.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I have, of course, I haven't worked in the defense side. I always did stuff for the police department. I have turned down a lot of to do some, a lot of expert witness kind of stuff. I turned it down because I just don't want to get involved. I don't want to travel all over the country. I'm not a big traveler. I'm a stay-at-home guy. I am. I'm a stay-at-home guy. I mean, they do drag me out every now and then at CrimeCon and other places, but I'm not a traveler. I'm a homebody. But the issue that comes down to is that this might be turning out to be one of the most heinous cases
Yeah.
because I think they're only scratching at the surface of this, and we only know a quarter of it, right? Because law enforcement doesn't tell us everything, and people are like, when are they going to drop homicide charges? Be patient. It's coming, right? He's not going anywhere.
And
you got to remember,
asked Sonny, do you think mom had to have known? So I never assume that automatically, because predators are very clever about who they target and how they target. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why, and it's personal. Did you all know that I was once married to a predator?
No, I never knew that.
Oh, well, look, I'm asking the audience in case they knew. I have a TED Talk. So a guy that my ex-husband, he's actually deceased now. No, I didn't kill him, and I'm from New Jersey.
Oh,
I did not kill him.
just for the record.
Yeah,
just for the record.
And I always preface that. In 2003, my mother died in 1998, and in 2003, so this was my second marriage. 2003, my daughter went to school. I was on the school board, and she told that her dad had touched her, and it did not turn out the way. Oh no, people did try to blame me. Let me tell you something. And when there's the truth, you want to look at everyone. And I expected them to look at me. Now, mind you, I wasn't doing everything that I do now. But yeah, in 2003, my daughter was 7 years old, my oldest daughter, who is now 29. And so she went to school, and she told, actually, the program that she reported to was the child assault. It's called the CAPS program in New Jersey, the Child Assault Prevention and Services Program. It was a program that I put into all of the schools as a school board member. They only wanted to do it in one. I said we needed to do it in all of them, and it is a program that saved my own daughter. So when the school called me, I went by myself, and and then we called the police. The teacher wanted to know, well, what do you want us to do? I said, follow the process. And I know, follow the process. Everything that you would do if I wasn't a school board member is what we need to do now. Because one, there's a process in place. We need to follow it. We need to follow all of it. And the police actually did not come to the house right away. They told me to take her home, and I did. And I just thought that was weird as hell. So when I tell you that I do what I do in real life, it is because I do these cases in real life, it's because I learned something. And while I was in the moment of my grief and I heard everything. I was also taking in everything and remembering everything. And when something doesn't look right that way, no. Did I ever suspect my husband? Absolutely not. I'm the great niece of the Baltimore drug kingpin. I'm well connected. I'm also from New Jersey. I know a lot of folks. My godparents are Italian, to say the least. I did not suspect. He was an excellent husband, a great husband. I mean, he did everything. Touching my children was the last. Touching my daughter was the last thing that he would ever do. So,
yeah, it's I'm assuming this happened way before the age of social media too, where this is like, they bombarding this. I did a Law and Crime Network interview tonight. It probably already aired when we were on, but I got asked the same question. I said, listen, from the investigative standpoint, I know the public wants this done like right now, but
Yeah.
that's not the way it works.
Right.
You have to have patience. The investigators are working the case, and think about the volumes of information that they have to have, because he's
Mhm.
already admitted that he factory reset the phone, he deleted stuff. So that could or could not be recoverable, right? So it depends on what they're going to have to bring in experts in to try to do that. Then they have to drop a warrant and a subpoena for every one of those apps, every one of those things,
One.
and right, and
And it
some of
takes
these
time.
companies. Yeah, some of these companies don't just like, oh, you want it right now? Here it is. Oh, this is a terrible case. I'll drop what I'm doing. They have a queue. They'll do it 5 days from now, 10 days from now, a week from a
Or
month.
they will fight it. Twitter has actually fought some of these things because we have.
Yeah, no. So
a lot of people, some of them don't want to expose it. You're right.
So all I can say is be patient. I know she's got inconsistencies in her story, and I know the boyfriend. It was one of the creepiest things I ever saw is that interview she's doing with the news, and he walks into the frame and sits behind her. Right?
Oh, that thing right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is some sort of control going on over there too. So right now, listen, if they find evidence, believe me, they're going to lock everybody up. And it's just a matter of time. But the issue that comes down to is just because you think so doesn't make it a case, right? You need the evidence, and they need to do this. So just be patient.
No matter what it is, everyone should be investigated. I wanted them to have eyes on me to ask me all the questions that they needed to ask. I wanted to be there. Now, I didn't have a lawyer. I think you should always have a lawyer, but I didn't feel like I needed a lawyer, but I think you should always have a lawyer. But you need to ask, they need to ask all the questions. They need to get all the questions. And remember, in these kind of cases, Joe, they not only have to go do the interview, but then they got to actually connect all the dots. It takes a long time. And people always want stuff fast. We don't want stuff done quickly. We want stuff done consistently. We want it done correctly so we can get a conviction. Fast is not always what you want done. So Joe, no, he be out there. You done had more interviews than me. So you already know. Everybody, I would say, like you said, Joe, everybody calm down, slow down.
Yeah. Let's let it and listen, they put this case together pretty quickly already. I mean, It went from a missing persons case to a homicide investigation in the matter of 2 days to a matter of recovery, right? And now, and of course the cell phone is what led them to all of this. Oof. Right? There's no question in my mind. They dumped the record just based on his story, right? And you can get things done like that in an emergency, right? Give me this cell phone data right now, where he was, what he was doing, where he pinged. They will give you that within the matter of an hour. I've been to that movie. If you tell them, listen, we have a missing 13-year-old, they do drop everything and say, okay, what do you need? And they'll do it without even the paperwork. Like the paperwork's
they'll
coming.
Get started. Yeah, they'll get started, because a missing person case, and particularly a child under a particular age, is a priority. So they get it done, and you start working on them. And law enforcement
and emergency exception anyway at this point. I mean, there's an emergency exception, so search warrant is not necessary in the beginning. Get this thing started, because you're going to have a district attorney riding with you on this case right from the beginning anyway, and he or she is going to write you anything that you want. And if you need to go, they call the judge and they get it done. And I don't know about other places, but in New York City, as long as one member had the warrant in their hand, you can execute it. Doesn't have to be on the premise when it's done.
Yeah. And a lot of times, the more people cooperate, the better it is. I listened to the mom story, and I was like, and like, I am still close with the prosecutor on my daughter's case. Yeah. Like, we still talk. We just talked last week. She was saying, Sonny, here's a training in New Jersey. So I still actually talk with everybody from that office. We're friends. My daughter, she knows everything. And but I just think this was happened really quickly. I didn't expect it to happen that quickly. I'll say it again. We get it done right by the law. Yep, that's right. Yep, following the law. That's it. Get it done.
This isn't a race. Yeah, it's not a race. See what happens. And he's not going anywhere. That's the beauty of it.
Right? Oh, no, he's not going. Yeah.
He ain't going anywhere.
Not going nowhere. He'll be right there where they need him to be.
Exactly. So, like I said, he's even if they don't get him on anything else, he's still not going anywhere. I mean,
No.
not with 60
Not.
more felony charges on top of it. So he's
Mhm.
going to. Well, Sonny. Well, listen. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
Oh yeah,
Tough. And
it's always. I keep it 100.
there you
I
go.
believe in keeping it 100, and but now I said I didn't do anything, but I listen. I have an investigative ear, so I listen, and if 1 + 1 gonna always equal 2. If I start seeing 4 when you start talking 1 + 1, if the math ain't math and the math ain't gonna math, then I'm gonna be like, baby, you knew
Yep.
something and you did nothing.
Yep. And on that note, Sonny, that actually we went an hour and 5 minutes. Boy, that went like
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
oh no,
over on your show, but look,
nope.
I love
Listen, I love it. I could talk to you all night.
I
Doesn't matter to
know.
me.
Can I say thank you, Joe, for having me? I really,
Thank you.
when you reached out, it was an honor being here, hanging with you. This was really, really great. Thank you all for everything, for showing up and drop. Oh, good night, y'all. I love y'all so much. And
Yeah, the pleasure's been all mine, Sonny. Because we're gonna have to do this again because I had a great time. And
Sonny and Sarge, look, okay, so that's what you got to put. We got to have our own little thing when you call me and we get together. So we're gonna say the Sonny and Sarge show. Hey,
yeah, the Sonny. We got to get Julie on top of that.
yes,
We definitely got to get her on that.
on top of it. Thank
All
you
right,
so much,
Sonny. You hang out 1 second. We're gonna say goodnight to everybody. Listen, folks, thanks for showing up tonight and watching the show. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Remember, tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. for roll call. We'll see you then. Good night, everybody.